As Chile marked 30 years of a return to democracy, in Santiago there were scenes that have become all too familiar in recent months. In a ceremony at La Moneda Palace, President Sebastián Piñera said the country must learn from the last 3 decades and the last few months.
As we prepare to commemorate and celebrate 30 years since the recovery of our democracy, it's good to learn the lessons of our last 3 decades, and of course, the lessons that we have lived through in these past 5 months.
Chile faces the most acute social crisis in 3 decades. Protests over inequality erupted in October and continue daily.
Protesters are angry about economic and social inequality, but the mood here has been compounded by the tactics employed by the security forces since these demonstrations began.
Filmmaker Nicole Cram suffered an eye injury while recording on New Year's Eve. She is one of many Chileans injured.
When the protests started, the first cases of eye injuries were not talked about much. They were seen as isolated cases. Then after a month, there were 120 cases. Now, a couple of months later, there are 300 cases. They shoot directly at head height. It is a systematic repression by the government. It cannot be a coincidence. Now 4 months on, and there are 450 people with eye injuries.
Cram continues to document protests, but now takes extra care.
We don't have the privilege of having 2 eyes anymore, so we have to take more precautions.
Covering one eye has become a symbol of these protests. Chile is now preparing for a referendum in late April over whether to rewrite the constitution, as anger on the streets remains and more demonstrations are planned in the days and weeks ahead. Joel Richards, CGTN, Santiago.